I am Richard Crudo, ASC, and I am a cinematographer. This year I shot the second unit, which was actually quite extensive on the FX series Justified. Principal cinematographer is Francis Kenny, ASC, and a lot of what I had to do involved matching work that he had already done, as well as separate issues entirely that the second unit handled by itself, independent of the first unit.
And you got to use the F3, I think it was a prototype?
Yes, we were one of the first ones to get an F3 and take it out into the field and use it with to any extent whatsoever. Whenever you have a new product, you always approach it with a little trepidation. But right away, this product, it did away with any misgivings we might have had. It performed beautifully, right out of the box. And very often a great deal of the show takes place in day exterior, out in the country, high extremes of contrast, great spreads of sunlight in the woods, deep shadows in the woods. Always a problem for a cinematographer, even working with film. And this camera, right out of the box, was able to handle the extremes in a way that I was very impressed by, especially by a brand new product.
Do you have experience with the Alexa,
Not the Red. The Alexa I've shot some tests with. It's also a very impressive piece of hardware. It's the early stage with a lot of these things. We're still finding the limits. What we ordinarily like to do is take things out and break them. Quote-unquote break them and find out what the theoretical limits are. And a lot of people like to work right at the very edge. You might not do that all the time, but at least you know where the edge of the envelope is, and you can take things out there when you need to and have a reasonable expectation that the camera would perform. The Alexa certainly does well. Sony F35 and the 9000 do extremely well. And this F3 measures up equally to the two other products that we use on Sony products on the show. We use the F35 and the 9000 as well. And this matches up quite well with them both.
Well, the reason I was asking is because I know that you guys are shooting special effects, doing explosions,
yes,
car chases, all kinds of things. The Alexa would not be a great camera for that, neither would the 9000.
No, and that's one of the great things about the F3 is you can take it out and treat it as a wild camera. Like on the film side, we used to use an Arri 3 or a 2C for those types of things. I could envision this camera being put into a crash housing at some point and put into some pretty precarious situations. The first day it was handed to me, I had to actually practically steal it from the first unit. And we had a situation where we were blowing up a building and 4 cameras, and I wanted to get a specifically dramatic angle in close. We had to keep a pretty good distance, so the other cameras were on long lenses. I put the F3 about 20 feet away from the structure. We buried it in the ground amongst some trash cans so it fit right in with the decor, and covered it up good with some sound blankets and blew up the house. I ran it up to 60 frames because it held the windows in the foreground. And we had great flame come out of it. We used a deep stop so I'd maintain some color in the flame. And the flame, instead of seeing the white flame that you usually get in digital photography, we had a great orange flame with all the gradations of it. You could see it in the explosion. And fortunately, no debris hit the camera, and we were able to pick it up and use it again 5 minutes later on something else.
Let me ask you a couple simple technical questions. I believe you mentioned you guys use SPS Pro cards and not an external recorder.
Yes.
Was there a reason why you didn't use a 4x4 uncompressed signal? I mean, I know
Mobility.
Mobility.
Yeah, with a camera like this, you just want to be able to pick up and go. And as such, things matched up. And we could take our time about it. It wasn't, we were under no pressure one way or the other with it. So it just worked out to be a little bit of a logistical issue. In the sample that you see in the demo here, Francis used it to shoot in an extremely tight spot. No other camera, film or digital, probably would have fit in there at that level. I mean, there's some prosumer cameras certainly, but no major league camera would have fit in there. And it was just a matter of logistics and ergonomics at that point.
I won't take a bit more time, but I have one last question.
It's okay.
So that people can actually see this footage.
Yes.
Could you just say, if you look at this episode number or name,
Golly.
for these type of shots, so just give them like a heads up, maybe.
I believe it's episode 210. I don't know the title. I don't recall the title, but I believe it's episode 210, in which Raylan's father, Arlo, is in jail, There's a whole scene where they have a little man-on-man talk in the jail cell. Much of that was shot. All of that was shot with the F3. We blow up a shack. Two gun thugs are looking for someone inside the shack. They trip a booby trap, and the shack goes up. The low angle in close to the shack is the F3. There's a shootout at Eva's house. This is all in the same episode. A shootout at Eva's house where Dickie Bennett makes a quick escape. He jumps into the pickup truck and he flees. He's driving away high speed from gunfire. There's a shot where the camera is rigged by the driver's side rear wheel, down low. It's probably 2 inches off the ground. And the truck pulls away, and we're locked with a 14mm lens, and the spinning tire is taking up the huge left foreground, and a gunman is chasing in the dust on the right side of frame. That was the F3 as well. And that's a really cool shot. The camera was probably literally 2 inches off the ground, and that was another issue where the size helped us enormously. It was light, we were able to rig it very quickly and very efficiently, and it got it right where we needed to. I don't know that we could have done that with our other production cameras. Ingenue Optimos, Zeiss Primes, and a lot of different things that we ship in and out on an as-needed basis. Primarily on the A and B cameras, Optimo zooms, a lot of frame shifting and zooming and grabbing things in the middle of scenes, and sometimes just roaming around, picking things off on alternate takes. And the primes generally for very low light situations. Great, thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.